Getting dressed like the medieval princess of your dreams is no easy task. Herein, I chronicle the process of getting dressed in medieval Burgundian splendor from the skin out, sharing salacious stories and gobsmacking court gossip along the way. On our last two acerbically witty episodes, we explored, well, my underwear, braise, smock, kirtle, and stockings, and went through the process of fashioning my hair in preparation for my headdress. We also struggled through putting on my shoes and massive overgown, and engaged in noble combat with key accessories such as my ultra-wide girdle. And finally, some 3/4 of an hour later, we have reached the ultimate layers, jewelry and headdress, of which can be said much. As a side note, I forgot to mention in the previous chapter that these long gownes, or robes as they are called in French, can themselves be fashioned from broadcloth, which is an amazingly silky luminescent wool, as well as from satin, damask velvet, and of course cloth of gold, all of which consist of silk. Cloth of gold, by the by, consists of silk threads wrapped in a thin foil of genuine gold that are then woven into some amazing pattern. Imagine all of that graceful gold gallivanting about a great hall lit only by enormous amounts of candlelight. Jewelry, of course, plays a very important role in expressing power and status. I know, nothing changes. This collar is fashioned in a style worn by many ladies, from affluent bourgeois bankers' wives to duchesses and queens. The Queen of France, Queen of Scotland, my lady the Duchess of Burgundy, and even certain English ladies, as well as Florentine bankers, all seem to have such lovely accoutrements in their collection. Queen Margaret of Denmark, I have heard, has one that is wrought in gold enameled roses that are encrusted in diamonds and rubies. Maybe an idea for a future commission for my next collar. One can never have too many collars unless one has to travel, then suddenly servants complain about heavy one's bags are. Anyway, some ladies have them as livery from their own liege lord or liege lady. Maria Portinari, for instance, I have been told, received hers as a gift from my Lady Duchess herself, hence why it looks so similar to one of her own. Finally, the literally crowning piece of any ensemble, the turret. Also called a mitre or a horn in English, or a grande corne, au bourrelet, or haut à tour in French. The turret is fashionable in one form or another throughout Burgundy, Flanders, France, England, Scotland, and even the court of Portugal in a unique form. Built on a frame of goat or sheepskin vellum, this conical headpiece is lined in silk satin and covered in silk embroidered velvet. As a note, I have a highly entertaining chronicle on this item of attire if it interests you to peruse later. Next comes the fine silk veil, which can act to help keep the sun out of my eyes and off of my face. I've heard tell of entire galleries of ladies at deeds of arms having their turrets ripped from their heads by the wind, but this has never happened to me, even in fairly frisky conditions. Of course, I think it was an alewife who may have related that tale to me, so perhaps it is a bit of friendly interclass rivalry at play. The veil is gathered at the base of the turret and pinned to secure it in place. This particular item is often called a kerchief in England, a corruption of the French word couvre-chef, which literally means a thing that covers one's head. There is a fashion currently for women to possess kerchiefs so translucent as to be practically transparent, although it can be challenging to procure such finely woven silks or linens these days. And such finely woven linens can sometimes cost the same L for L as silk. Cheeky self-promotion time. If you are enjoying this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe and the notification bell if you want to know when I launch new things. And if you want to do more to support my work, then consider the super thanks button on YouTube, or maybe becoming a patron on Patreon, which comes with a whole host of perks and extras like access to premium tutorials, multiple hour ones in fact, and discounts on classes. And now back to your regularly scheduled Contessa. Over top of the veil comes the frontlet, which is made of silk velvet. It is also pinned securely at the base of the turret, and I will say that this accessory goes a long way towards helping hold everything in place. And of course, one must fiddle for fastidiousness. Curiously about the frontlet, according to several fellow English ladies in waiting here at court, King Edward of England, my Lady Duchess's brother, has apparently implemented strictures on the wearing of frontlets, specifying that wives and unwed daughters having a yearly income of £101 or higher are permitted to wear frontlets made of black velvet or other black silks. I suspect, though, that as in many places, such statutes are not enforced with the greatest degree of regularity, and that they might just be a method of generating surplus income for the king's coffers. Cynical? Yes, of course. Realistic? Also yes. I will admit that sometimes, when I am in my private chambers surrounded only by the 15 or 20 intimate members of my household, I will remove the turret and wear just the frontlet, as you sometimes see young girls do. Shh! Do not tell the self-aggrandizing sartorial syndicate that one often encounters in unexpected, unpleasant ways in certain conversations. You know, the unimaginative ones who spew snark in order to bolster their own sense of superiority. Anyway, finally comes a decorative brooch. These are handcrafted by extremely skilled goldsmiths and jewelers and enjoy extremely widespread popularity. I know that in lands such as Milan, for instance, the ladies are known to pin them directly to their fillets or even hair. Such pieces of jewelry can consist of extremely precious stones, making them highly valuable items for, say, victorious armies to loot if said armies overrun the sumptuous campaign encampments of puissant princes who make poor choices. These pendants are apparently known in English as a device, or device in more common parlance. I heard from one of the Duchess's English ladies-in-waiting that Margaret Paston, after her estate had been sacked, had to borrow a device in order to make herself more presentable when she called on the Duchess of Suffolk. And then, of course, Sir John, Lord Howard, once gave his wife a device of gold set with jewels. Gentlemen wear these stunning pieces as well. These pendants are commonly given as gifts, including as wedding gifts, although perhaps not in the manner that you might expect. King Edward of England, the fourth of that name, gifted a splendid device to my Lord Charles, the Duke of Burgundy, as a wedding present when he wed Edward's sister, Madame la Grande herself, in 1468. Some great lords apparently even name their pendants. My Lord Ludovico, Regent of Milan, apparently has one dazzling device with a great diamond and 3 pendant pearls that he calls Il Lupo, the wolf. Men do seem fond of naming their dangling jewels. Speaking of jewels, jewelers have started fashioning the gemstones themselves into faceted shapes, although this is not very often seen. Diamonds naturally form faceted octahedrons, I have been told, which are then generally cut in half to form a pointed stone. But now rubies and even sapphires are sometimes cut into shapes. More commonly, however, is the trend of fabricating fake gemstones. For instance, faux pearls can be created from a mixture of adhesive, cheap shells, and fish scales to add iridescent luster to the mix. Oops, we apparently forgot my committal coronet. Being that I have a ceremonial occasion to attend, this is an essential piece of regalia. It also helps weigh down the entire headdress against the violence of the aforementioned wind. Cheating, perhaps? And thus, I am entirely attired to appear in public and attend a grand deed of arms followed by an afternoon ball. What are your thoughts on this ensemble? Do leave me a note below this chronicle. Otherwise, pray hold for your moment of feline felicity.